Hey all, this is Whitney, and welcome back to an episode of Spastic Chatter. Spastic Chatter is a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together weekly with individuals with CP, like myself, to have a kind of uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with this type of disability. And for this week, I have Scott, and Scott and I were recently on a cerebral palsy potluck where we got together with other people that have cerebral palsy related channels, and I just thought Scott was an interesting dude, so I wanted to have him on the podcast. So I think today we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and what Scott's going to tell us about his life and what he does as an entrepreneur. So I will let Scott introduce himself.
Awesome. Hi, Whitney. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here today. So my name is Scott Johnston, and I own a business called VHS Master, where I digitize people's old home movies. So I take their VHS tapes, 8mm tapes, and 8mm reels, and transfer them into digital videos and drop them onto DVDs. So a lot of people don't realize, but that content isn't meant to last forever on videotape.
Yeah.
The average lifespan of a videotape is only 15 to 25 years, depending on storage. And it even degrades on CDs and DVDs, believe it or not. So really, because of the age of all that stuff from the 80s and 90s, now is really the right time to make sure that you preserve all of that. And I'm here to help people do that. And I got started with that really when I looked at my own home movies and was kind of thinking, okay, what do I do with these? I don't know what to do with them. And I have a degree in broadcast journalism from Fresno State and learned how to edit. And one day I was waking up and looked at my email, and there was a recommended purchase email from Amazon. We all get those, right?
Yeah.
And it had VHS transfer software on it. I'd never even thought about it, but I asked my mom if I got the software, if she'd let me try and do it. And she said, sure. So I started doing it. And I was like, this is easy. And everybody has these. And at the time, I'd been applying for jobs and was really, really frustrated. Couldn't find a job, and I needed a job. So I just created my own. And the rest is history. I'm still trying to grow it out. But I'm also working on transitioning to become a life and dating coach, specializing in working with people with disabilities. And kind of where that sprang out of was me working with one guy that I met 2 years ago in one of the CP support groups on Facebook, and seeing the growth that he's made from all of the wisdom that I've gained over the years and giving it to him, and the progress that he's made and the fulfillment it's given me. I want to be able to give that to others and really help them make the transition to adulthood a lot easier. Because I know for me, I didn't have anybody really to say, this is what adulthood for you is going to look like. I went to college and expected to be able to get a job just like everybody else. But because I need help day to day, and just in the interest of transparency, since it's a CP channel, I need help using a public restroom. And that help doesn't exist when you're out in the working world. And if I was going to pay somebody, it would cost me about 100 to 150 bucks a day
And
just to
not
pay somebody.
and not to me. I want to jump in because there's so much to talk about with everything you're saying. But I'm just quickly, I'm gonna point out that if we stayed on the attendant care where Medicaid paid for it, you have to be below a threshold for income. So getting a job kind of throws that out the window. So it's kind of like a catch-22.
Yeah, exactly. And so my whole goal really with my small business and everything that I'm doing is to not only show people, hey, people with disabilities have brains and we have a voice, but also to try and get myself off of Social Security so I can start dating and starting to live an independent life. It's not easy.
No,
But
I have I have the same kind of story that you have. Like I have 2 degrees. Like I have a bachelor's degree, and then I went to go look for jobs, and I they don't no one actually tells you how hard it is for people with disabilities to find employment. They're like, oh, hey, like you'll get a job, like just go get a degree. But
yeah, exactly.
in my in my opinion, and I always like to keep 100%. My I feel like even though they say they don't discriminate, if there's an able-bodied person that can do the job, like they're gonna go for that able-bodied person because it's less they have to do.
Exactly. And
Like I have,
honestly, if you're looking at it objectively, I'm sorry, Whitney, I'll let you go after this. But if you're looking at it objectively from the employer's standpoint, that just makes more sense, right?
yeah,
It may be terrible, but it just makes more sense.
exactly. And this is a good example. Like I have an able-bodied twin, and
Okay.
she doesn't she didn't she has like one class away from her associates. So I have 2 degrees. I have 2 degrees compared to her. Just like random schooling. She can no, this is no way like bashing her. She can get a job, quit that job, and then get another job. And I'm like, I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
The job she can get, she can physically, it's physically demanding jobs. So she can do that. But there's such a small pool of jobs that we can do that are not physically demanding.
Which is why, number one, I've chosen to go the entrepreneurial route after beating my head up against a brick wall for 8 years, trying to get a job in media and wanting to use the platform to share my story. I've decided to go the entrepreneurial route and create my own job, and I'm working as hard as I can. But also, that's where my life coaching really comes in and my specialty, because I want to help other people with disabilities to get out of this victim mentality and say, okay, yes, things are unfair. Yes, there's discrimination. Yes, life can suck at times, but you have a choice. Yeah. Like I said on the CP potluck, to wrap it up, we all have every right to be angry, frustrated, and mad at the world. But is that the right choice? And more often than not, it's not the right choice. That doesn't get you anywhere. You've just got to keep your head down, keep working, and you're going to get there. But a lot of people, especially with disabilities, either don't know what they're capable of because nobody's ever really invested in them or allowed them to explore what they're good at, or they're scared
Yeah.
because they've got the whole world, their entire life, telling them that they are not good enough or who they are. And they've
And
never had the chance
it's also good to
to,
point out that they have, like, we all have that self-talk, right? So like, if society puts all these stigmas on us, we also have that self-talk, and most of the time it's negative self-talk unless you teach yourself or you're in an atmosphere where it's positive self-talk. So yeah,
absolutely. And I would totally second that. And my motto every day is keep showing up. And that is the gift that I think quarantine and the pandemic has been for me, in that it's caused me to slow down.
yeah,
I know where I want to get. I have big goals and big dreams. I want to be a nationally or internationally known public speaker, motivational speaker, share my story and help other people break out of this negative mindset. But the gift of quarantine has allowed me to say, okay, you don't have to do everything you want to do and be there tomorrow. As long as you're taking steps today to get to where you want to be, that's good enough.
yeah.
That's good.
And
And it's really, another one of my mottos is big things start small. So it's baby steps.
yeah,
Because life's a marathon and not a sprint, especially with CP.
yeah, exactly. And I would like, well, we're on the spirit of entrepreneurship. Like, I would like, because just a little story about from my own personal, like, like I created everything that I have right now, like from my job to this podcast. Like, I'm the one that went out and looking for it. Like, I started as a volunteer for my job at Able Thrive, and then I just messaged I got the courage to message somebody who was like, are you looking for volunteers? Blah blah blah. Like, this is my skill set. This is what I can do, and they gave me a chance. And now it's just me and the founder. So, like, I went from a volunteer position to a paid position, and then same thing with this podcast. I took a chance. I just start messaging people, and you're my 30 something episode. Like, so my point is that you just have to take a chance, because the worst thing that can happen is that somebody says no. Like, and that's not that bad.
Right. And I applaud you, Whitney. Way to go. And more people need to have that mindset. And even though I'm a positive guy and an entrepreneur, I still struggle with that at times. I'm going to admit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so important to push past those mental barriers. And as part of what I want to do as a life coach is also work with people around their mindset around dating and get their mindset in the right frame to start dating, especially people with disabilities, because
Yeah.
like you said, we deal with the negative self-talk, and it's what you just shared from a professional standpoint is the exact same thing in dating. And for those of us with disabilities, especially as a man with a disability, my struggles as a professional and my struggles in my personal life, my dating life, or lack thereof, are tied. The biggest chunk that I'm trying to take care of is at least give myself a little bit of cash so I can start dating and taking care of all that stuff.
But
And It's
you bring up a good point that I don't even know if you are aware of this yet because you're just in the dating scene. But say that you meet somebody and it's and you're hitting it off like me and my fiance. We can't we can't we can't so like we if we legally get married, we lose our
yep,
SSI, or
yep.
since we're both disabled, one it becomes one check, and so we get two checks, and then it becomes one, and like we have to live off $1,000 a month, like that, like it's there's so
And and you lose your health benefits too, right?
yeah, because that's the majority. That's the main reason of why we don't want to get off of SSI. It's not because of the money or whatever. It's because of the health benefits.
Yep,
Because not every job starting off will give you health, like the adequate
yep.
care you need for health, like healthcare.
I so agree. And the marriage penalty is wrong. And it's
Yeah,
something that needs to be fixed. Anybody out there that is listening to this that is not aware of that, write your congressman or senators, anybody that can help to get that fixed, please do so.
mm-hmm.
Because there is no reason why somebody with a disability has to choose between love and their health. It is wrong and it is criminal and it
Yeah,
needs to be fixed yesterday. Um, I am aware of that, and that's something that has kind of scared me at times, but I'm fortunate that I still live at home, and through my mom, I at least have private insurance. So
yeah,
uh, I'm trying to get myself completely off of SSI, and I plan, we'll see, but I plan to live at home until I'm married. We'll see. For
yeah,
that reason, because even though I'm past 26, as long as I'm still living at home, I can stay on my mom's health insurance
yeah.
because I'm a. So uh, I say at this point I have to bring a pretty good dowry when I get married, but I should be I should be worth at least 2 cows and a chicken, but we'll see.
Well, that gives that's another thing that like people don't think about is that you're having to stay at home because of health insurance. Like I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but back to the entrepreneurship. Like what steps have you taken to get clients, or have you taken any steps? Like walk me through. Or that's kind of a funny thing. Walk me through that process.
The crazy thing is they've kind of found me.
Yeah,
Um, I like I said, I started off mentoring this one young man also with CP, and our stories are very, very similar. Um, and I've been working with him for about 2 years, and the life coaching piece of it is still very new. I'm still working on getting my certification. Um, and I attended a dating conference, an online dating conference about a month ago, and there was a young lady in there that messaged me afterwards who also has CP, and she told me, "Hey, I'm looking for a mentor." So I've been working with her, and then I'm a I don't know what state you're in, Whitney, but I'm here in California. Um, and go ahead if you want to answer that.
I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what the state system is for Texas and as far as people with disabilities, but out here in California, we have regional centers,
Yeah,
and the regional centers are state agencies that help pay for things that uh, insurance won't related to disabilities, and therefore people with developmental disabilities. So I'm a client of my regional center, and I was checking in with my caseworker not too long ago and mentioned to her that I'm working on becoming a life coach, and I want to specialize in working with people with disabilities. And she said, or I just kind of threw it out there as a joke, actually. Hey, when I'm done, like, can you set me up as a vendor? She's like, I was already thinking about it. So really, that means I will be on their list of vendors, and the regional center will actually send me clients. So
Yeah.
I'll get paid by the state for helping other people, which is a really, really cool thing.
And you took the initiative to like say something about it. Like they didn't come to you. Like it's the same thing that I did. You were courageous enough to take the initiative and not wait for opportunities to come to you. You went
And
to them.
absolutely, and that's something that I would wholeheartedly try and get across to anybody, is you have to be your own best advocate
Yes.
and not be afraid to speak up for yourself, because if you are and you don't, the world's going to pass you by, sadly.
Exactly. Even if you go to school and you have this degree, I can say it now because I'm like a couple years out of school. That degree doesn't secure you for a job in no way.
Absolutely not. No. And along those lines, Whitney, you mentioned you can go to school and do everything right and still, not have a job.
Yeah.
And this is something that I had to work through for myself, and come to terms with, because going through school, I was the only one in a wheelchair at any of my schools from first through my junior year of high school. And more often than not, I would always be the only one in a chair with a disability whenever I would go do things with friends or take a class or whatever. It would always just be me. I really had nobody to relate to. So here, I did have some friends with CP, but nobody really that I could relate to. And so I'm sitting at home on social media all day, basically after college, trying to figure out what to do. And I'm seeing all my friends, post about, all my able-bodied friends post about their work lives and, they're dating and getting engaged, getting married, having kids. And I would be beating myself up saying, I got to try harder because I'm not where they are. And finally, I had to go through the process of grieving the life that I thought I would have to get to the point of saying, I have done everything I can possibly do, and I'm doing the best I can. And my timeline is going to look different. It's okay, and it's not my fault.
Yeah, well, this is my opinion. I don't know if it's so much about grieving, but we just have to come to terms with everyone is on their own journey, no matter if you have a disability or not. Like, it's hard not to compare ourselves to other people, but like everyone's on their own journey. So it might take me longer to do something than it takes you, like vice versa. Like you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, life with a disability is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And it's a marathon for everybody, but especially for those of us with a disability.
Yeah.
We're moving at a snail's pace. But slow progress is better than no progress. So just keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep your head down and keep working, and you will get there when you're supposed to be there.
Exactly. So at the end of every episode, you've kind of been doing this throughout the episode. I always ask my guests if they have any advice for others that are going through similar situations, like for you, I guess it would be like entrepreneurship or like dating or anything. Do you have any advice for people watching?
Yeah, whatever you want to do in life, you're worth it. And you have everything you need already within you to succeed in life. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, as long as you get there. And I would just encourage anybody out there listening to realize that they can do whatever they put their minds to, as long as it doesn't push them into unsafe spaces physically. If it's a mental game, if it's a matter of mental game and within their physical limitations, the sky's the limit.
Awesome. So do you have anywhere where people can follow you? Are you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can search for Scott Johnston. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at Swudge, SWJ Speaks. And you can also check out my podcast, Beyond the Bright Lights, where I interview sports figures and talk to them about any adversity that they've faced in life and how the life lessons that they've learned from sports has helped get them through it. So
That's awesome. I will put all that in the description below. And again, thank you, Scott, for being on an episode. I really enjoyed it. And for those of you watching, if you want to be on an episode, there's always a link in the description. And check back next week for another episode of Spastic Chatter. Thanks. Bye.
thanks, Whitney. Bye-bye.